there was a message waiting for me from my commanding officer, and it said, "Shut down all operations." Everyone wants to have more free time. Those are two really easy examples to understand. And if you want to have financial freedom, well, then how are you going to get there? The answer is you have to have financial discipline. And same thing with more free time. If you want to have more free time, then you have to have a more disciplined time management schedule. And you have to have discipline in your life to say no to the things that aren't actually moving you towards whatever goals you have. So, you have to have the discipline to not click the next YouTube video that springs up. But the reality is when you sleep in, now you don't get things done. And now those things that you were supposed to do aren't done. And now the next day you have to wake up early and get them done, not because you want to, but because you have to. So you've become a slave to the fact that you didn't have discipline. So if you actually want to have freedom in your life, you have to implement discipline on yourself. And the other one is called action. And so the thought section is kind of the things that I think about and the reasons and the kind of the why I am the way I am. And then the actions are the actual things that I do in my life, from workouts to what I eat to how I sleep to how I recover from injuries to how I actually manage my day and train. So that's the way it's broken up. And
once you've begun your pathway to success, you need to make sure that you're constantly figuring out a way to create better results in your life. Always try to improve upon what you're doing every single day. You're going to have to make sure that you're growing and learning and taking advantage of every single opportunity that you possibly can every single day. Wake up in the morning and strive to become the best version of you that you possibly can. Make sure that when you put your mind to something, you focus on that and make sure that you get it done. Make sure that you put all your energy into that until it is complete, until it's finished, until you finally did what you need to do. Now, that's going to mean you're going to have to go through failure and you're going to have to grow and learn through those experiences that are going to be rough. But those experiences are going to be extremely beneficial to you down the line, because when you go through a rough patch and you rise up to the challenge and decide to keep pushing and keep moving on with your life, you're going to learn so much, not only about yourself, about those around you, and about what it is that you're learning and trying to do. And a lot of times figuring out what you can't do and what doesn't work is just as easy and just as better to understand and go through than figuring out what does work. Because when you figure out what doesn't work, you can start to narrow down your options to what might work and what might be the best way to approach the problem with that new situation that you've created for yourself to go out there and accomplish. And you always have to make sure that whatever you're doing, you are 100% committed to, no questions asked.
Well, I guess there's a dichotomy there too, because I don't feel like I'm in competition with anyone, and I feel like I'm in competition with everyone. That's just sort of, in my nature to just compete. But no, I mean, in this world that I'm in right now, I don't really feel like I'm competing with anyone. I feel like I'm just kind of doing what I do, talking about what I like to talk about, writing about what I like to write about. And I was born and raised in a small New England town. I was a rebellious kid. My best way to rebel as a kid coming from a small New England town was to join the military. So I joined the military after high school. I spent 20 years in the military. And when I retired from the military, I started taking the things that I had learned from the military and teaching them to civilian companies and civilian leaders. And eventually that turned into a book and a podcast and all this other stuff. I was an English major was because, believe it or not, when you're an officer in the military, and actually almost any job in the military, you have to write. Not just have to write, you have to read, you have to understand, because you have to write concept of operations documents that are going to be pushed up the chain of command. And they're going to read through them and ask questions and look at the document and try and comprehend what it is that you're trying to do.
Motivation it's kind of a strange word because it doesn't really mean what we think it means. We think it means that we're fired up to do something. We think that it means we're eager and passionate to make something happen. And we think that somehow we should just be able to turn on that eagerness and turn on that passion. But we can't, because you just can't turn on passion. You can't just turn on the desire to execute a task. It just doesn't work that way. And honestly, that isn't even what motivate means. Motivate doesn't mean to yell and scream and encourage. No, to motivate actually means to provide a motive, a reason why. So to motivate someone is to explain to them why they're doing what they're doing, how it will help them, where it'll take them, why they should continue to work and to struggle and to fight. And when you need motivation yourself, don't look for someone to scream and yell. Don't look for someone else to give you motivation. Look at yourself. Look at yourself and remind yourself why you are doing what you are doing. Remind yourself that this struggle, this temporary pain, this fight that you're in, this is what will make you stronger and faster and smarter and better.
War is a nightmare. War is awful. It is indifferent and devastating and evil. War is hell. But war is also an incredible teacher, a brutal teacher, and it teaches you lessons that you will not forget. In war, you are forced to see humanity at its absolute worst, and you are also blessed to see humanity in its most glorious moments. War teaches you about sorrow and loss and pain, and it teaches you about the preciousness and the fragility of human life. And in that fragility, war teaches you about death. But war also teaches you about brotherhood and honor and humility and leadership. And unfortunately, war teaches you the most when things go wrong.
So thank you all so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, please go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let us know what you thought down in the comment section down below.